A common person often feels like a midget next to a basketball player. Although NBA players are typically 6 feet 7 inches tall, they too feel inferior when they are placed next to the individuals on this list. The top 10 tallest NBA players are shown in this video. But before we start this topic, don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Number 10, Boban Marianavich. Despite having the appearance of a bouncer in front of a Russian mafia club, Boban Marianavich, who is 7 feet 4 inches tall, is one of the most well-liked role players in the NBA today. Boban gained popularity among fans because he was the tallest player on the floor. Boban is often seen grinning and making jokes on the bench or retrieving balls when no one else can. Unfortunately, he spends the most of his time there and plays an average of fewer than 10 minutes every game. He was recognized as one of the top centers in Europe before entering the NBA, winning many regional MVP awards and being named to all-Euroleague first teams. Boban was able to remain part in the paint and control the game from the inside because European basketball has distinct regulations from American basketball. If he had played 20 or 30 years ago, he would definitely be one of the top centers in the league right now. However, in the speed and space age of the NBA, he is always forced to chase after smaller guys, which doesn't play to his strengths. He doesn't play much, but how many other centers can say they kick Keanu Reeves in 3 of John Wick's movies? Number 9, Sim Bhullar, height 7 feet 5 inches. The first person of Indian heritage to play in the NBA is Sim Bhullar, a professional basketball player from Canada. Sim Bhullar is quite tall, reaching 75 inches tall and weighing a stated 360 pounds, as you would have imagined. After spending 2 years in Mexico, he entered the 2014 NBA draft but was not selected. However, since Sacramento Kings owner Bec Ranadive is also Indian, the Kings chose him to play for their summer league squad mostly for promotional purposes. Simav eventually joined the roster, however, and was given a 10-day deal. He participated in 3 NBA games and 3 minutes each. Number 8, Pavel Podkolzin, also known as Pavel Podkolzin, stood at 7 feet 5 inches tall, around the same height as Sim Bhullar Podkolzin. However, due to his brief time with the Mavericks and his height of 75, he is included on our list. Prior to entering the NBA draft in 2004, Pavel played in Italy and the Russian second division to start his career. He was really selected quite high, but the Utah Jazz, who selected him with the 21st selection, traded him to the Mavericks on draft night. As a result, he only played in 6 games for Dallas, contributing 4 points and 28 minutes of playing time. Number 7, Chuck Nevitt. Despite having a far lengthier NBA career than his 275 NBA rivals, Chuck Nevitt was criticized for his minutes per game average, which was comparable to Bhullar's. Despite spending 9 seasons on NBA teams, Nevitt only appeared in 155 games, spending an average of 5 minutes on the floor each game. Despite getting little playing time, he was a highly well-liked player while he was active because many fans wanted to be in his presence and experience true smallness, which is a quality shared by all players on this list. Despite not participating in a single playoff game with the Lakers in 1985, he was unable to bring home the championship. Number 6, Shawn Bradley. Shawn Bradley, who stood at 7 feet 6 inches tall, quickly gained notoriety for being the 3rd tallest player to ever play in the NBA. Bradley wasn't only a noticeable 7 feet 6 inches man, he was also a competent player and a top shot blocker. He once set a record for the most shot blocks in an NCAA game with 14, a mark that still holds today. Bradley also tried to swat anything that was close to the rim, but unfortunately for him, this also made him the poster boy for being posterized because of his size and somewhat nerdy looks made him a target for most athletic wings who wanted to get a 7'6" guy on a poster. Bradley was drafted in Philadelphia but left the biggest mark in terms of talents. He played for 9 seasons, finishing with career averages of 8.1 points, 6.3 rebounds, and 2.5 blocks. He is still well known to basketball fans all around the globe. He was one of the athletes whose abilities were taken by the monsters Llama 7 feet in the movie Space Jam, where he co-starred with Michael Jordan. Number 5 Yao Ming, who stands 6 inches tall, is the best player on this list, the greatest Asian basketball star of all time, and one of the sport's most prominent ambassadors. This literally means that Yao's parents, who were both former basketball players under Mao Zedong's socialist regime, were nearly forced to get married and have children. Both his mother and father were tall, each measuring 6 feet 3 inches. Although Yao was a government project that had been in the works since before he was even born, no one truly anticipated that he would reach 7 feet 6 in height. Young Yao was forced to play basketball, and despite his initial lack of skill and dislike of the sport, he eventually dominated the Chinese league thanks to long hours of practice and his remarkable height. It wasn't all just height, as some people soon realized the AO could really ball and was extremely skillful for a player of his dimensions, with an array of post moves. He was selected number 1 overall by the Houston Rockets in the 2002 NBA draft. And he instantly became a global phenomenon because of his height, and over a billion Chinese fans. Yao was one of the most popular players in the game, but a horde of reporters following his every giant footstep. Number 4 Slavko reigns. With his height of 7'6", it's simple to understand why Slavko Reigns began a professional career at the age of 7 when he signed for Turkish FS Pilsen. However, when Yao Ming, who was selected the year before, emerged, they quickly realized that Varney wasn't Yao and that they had made a mistake when they selected him with the 39th overall pick in the 2003 NBA draft. Number 3 Taco Fall, another member of the 76 club who is 7 feet 6 inches tall, entered the NBA this year. Of course, we're talking about Taco Fall, who plays for the Boston Celtics. Taco was born in Dakar, Senegal in 1995, moved to the USA at the age of 16. It was at the time when social media was booming, so if you're a hoops fan, the chances are that you heard about Taco some 7 to 8 years ago when he was a high school junior, grabbing the rim with his feet planted firmly on the ground. Even though many scouts doubted that he would ever become an NBA player, Taco drew extreme interest from colleges and ended up at the University of Central Florida, where he stayed for a full 4 years. Taco pretty raw basketball skills improved over time and became one of the best defensive players in college basketball, the won AAC Defensive Player of the Year in 2017 and helped his school win the first game ever in the March Madness tournament fall declared for the 2019 draft, where he set up records for heights, wingspan, and standing reach at the draft combine. However, he didn't get picked in the draft. Instead, the Boston Celtics signed him to a 10-day contract, which enabled him to play summer league for them, where he did good enough to make the roster for the season on a 2-way contract. Paul made his debut for the Celtics on October 26 during a game against the New York Knicks and became a fan favorite in Boston. To get him some playing time, we often yell his name. Number 2, Manduta Bowl. Manduta Bowl is a 7-footer. Every time I'm in a jam, I always find a loophole. I've got a longer criminal record than men. Useful rap Big L in his hit record MVP. While my new bull wasn't a MVP on the floor, he was often mentioned in rap lyrics and starred on the front covers of magazines. What he lacked in quality, a nude had in quantity. Standing at 7'7", he was the tallest player ever at the time he got to the league, and that's what propelled his status in pop culture. Born in South Sudan, which is on average the tallest country in the world, but the average height being over 6 feet, I knew was the tallest of the tall. And it wasn't just the man that was tall, it was the way he was built as well, that visually prolonged, has already extremely long limbs, and it weighed only 220 pounds, which made him stand out even more and also diminished his impact on the court. It was often bullied by physically stronger opponents, as most centers in power forwards weighed from 240 pounds upwards, but it wasn't exactly very skilled either, and he averaged a mere 2.6 points for his career. However, despite a lack of production on offense, Bo was one of the best shot blockers the league has ever seen, and that's why he was able to stay in the NBA for 10 years, but 624 games played. The average 3.3 blocks per game, which is the second highest block average ever, and is the only player who has more block shots than points in his career. A great humanitarian off the court, he will always be remembered by NBA fans as the Jolly Big Giant and a metaphor for extremely long fangs. Jorge Number 1 George Morrison had a vision of 7 feet 7 inches. When you're tall enough to peek over bathroom stalls, the chances are that you'll become either an NBA player or make people really uncomfortable from time to time. George Morrison did both. Chris Webber told this bathroom prank story when he was a mere Asante maid in Washington and described George as one of his funniest teammates. A Romanian center born in Transylvania didn't project to be tall, as his mother was 5'7" and his father was just 5'9". About because of a condition with his pituitary gland, young George kept on growing until finally got to 7'7", which made him the tallest NBA player ever, along with Manuta Bol, who was even his teammate for a short stint. Pretty run awkward when he first came to the league. At the age of 22, your eyes on didn't get much playing time in the first 2 seasons. However, when he became a permanent starter in his 3rd year, Jorge turned into a solid contributor, averaging 14.5 points, 9.6 rebounds, and 2.3 blocks, while leading the league in field goal percentage. This earned him the award for the Most Improved Player in 1996. He led the league in field goal percentage the following year until a back injury sidelined him for the whole 97-98 season and all but 1 minute of the next one after his recovery and active debut alongside Billy Crystal and My Giant nearest son finally came back in the 1999-2000 season, but he was only able to play 30 games for the Nets before calling it quits because of foot, knee, and back issues that are common for basketball players of that stature. He continued to be a crowd pleaser in Washington, where he now resides with his family.